Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the Developers End podcast, where we talk about everything in the games industry but from the eyes of two indie developers. My name is Sivash, aka Rainy, and my co-host Sydney, aka Fem. We are very delighted to have you for this episode, and I wanted to take a moment. No, for this episode, for every I say that every time. I'm sorry, I said it every time. Wait, no, I mean, I'm not talking about you, actually. No, wait. I'm talking about the audience. I'm talking about the audience. Delighted to have you listening to us. There we go. Sorry about that. So I just wanted to open up with a, this past Friday was International Women's Day, and followed by the WLG event. Women-led games, I just wanted to say, if you haven't checked out all of the amazing games that were featured in WLG event, go give it a look.
Good stuff.
GameSpot did an amazing article just highlighting every game that was featured during that event.
Oh, we should link that in the thing.
But also, happy belated Women's Day to all the amazing women out there. And
it's Women's History Month, so it covers.
It covers, yeah.
All
Actually,
of March.
yeah.
We get all of March.
It covers it all. But yeah, so we kind of wanted to talk about our experience with WLG, how things went, and as well as just in general, considering it's very topical, we just wanted to talk about women in this industry. And and I think Sydney especially has a lot of wisdom here that I think she can share with us, and I'm not saying that in a jokey way. Seriously. So I think in this episode I will share as much as I have and can to whatever the topic is, but I think it's really you. I need you to take this one, kind of lead us through it.
I mean, the thing is it's a dichotomy, right, of male and female, and you can't really have one perspective without the other.
That's very true. Yeah.
And so, like, because there are a lot of things that, women have dealt with and that we experience on a daily basis. And we're always like, why? Mm-hmm. Why? So you today get to speak for all men. Okay. And I get to speak for all women.
Yeah, I don't think my experience would be very wide, but I'll try my best. And, my experience
I wouldn't say you're the typical.
No, and, I'm also very kind of... what's the word? Introverted. So, I'm like, I'm not in many communities and stuff like that. If I play online games, it's only with my friends. So, I don't see that ugly side of men, usually. And I like to think that I have a pretty good company of friends that are above average in terms of behavior. So, but also, you know what? I can bring my experience growing up in Iran, a Middle Eastern country that is very different to West in many aspects. So I think I might be able to bring a bit of a unique twist to whatever the discussion might be. Yeah.
I mean, I think I think the place to start really is just the event in general.
Yeah, WLG.
Like, I think there was kind of, you and I were talking about this. I think there was a little bit of an expectation that it was going to be a bunch of cozy games. Because true. And it was really exciting to see just a huge variety of all these games that are being made by women, and not just female art leads, but like female producers, female game designers, female directors, female studio heads. That to me is more powerful than
that's the thing, just like you said, is like you from an outsider perspective, from a man's perspective, when you look into this, you might think that all women plays like Sims or cozy games, right? And again, nothing to that. There's absolutely a group of women who do that.
It's a garbage take.
But it is a garbage take because it excludes a lot of women who don't. And in this event, we saw a lot of horror games. We saw a lot of games from very different, varying genres. So just the same as that, I think there's also a bit of a misconception that women only work in art kind of aspects of games, right? So just like you said, you might not expect to see women in producer roles, which is funny because so many of producers at studios
are so good
women.
at it.
Yeah.
It's
the whole thing, isn't it? You gave me this
mothering.
meme that what was it called?
I did. What was it? Producer
something?
It was like Boss Mommy or Producer
it was something
Mommy
like that. Yeah, it's kind of like Plant Mommy. And like
PM. It was PM Mommy. It was Project Management.
Project Management. Yeah. So yeah, it's not like it's necessarily just art and just cozy games. That's the thing. You don't need to be a man or a woman to like specifically be able to enter any of these genres or make games of these genres. But
there is that weird, especially for women.
Would you say?
There's an expectation. There's also, so like when I was getting my degree in industrial and organizational psychology, one of the things we were talking about was how to hire the people you want on your team, right? And one of the things we discussed, one of the things I wrote a bunch of papers about, was how difficult it is for women to get into any kind of tech industry or any like sciencey STEM type field, not because it's hard for us to get hired, but because it's hard for us to get into those spaces in education, because we get pushed out even at the lowest level of education. Not even like, oh, we're not welcome, but more like, well, why do you don't belong here? Women don't like science. You're not supposed to like coding. And so there were statistics that I found that it's a high percentage, and I don't want to guess, but it's a very, very high percentage of women who start STEM educational journeys and don't finish them.
Interesting.
Because it's so discouraging to be talked over, to be ignored, to have to work twice as hard as the people around you and not even get the accolades you deserve. So it's like there's all this stuff that goes into it, and it's not just games. It's literally every single field has the problem. You look at sports are a great one.
Yeah.
I found a TikTok yesterday, and it was all these interviews being done with male athletes, and the interviewer is like, oh, how does it feel to be like the first person to win like this type of tennis championship? And he's like, you mean the first male player? Because it's already been done by a woman.
Right.
Or it was like, how does it feel? Like, nobody's ever won this, like, tennis singles twice in a row. And he's like, well, I'm pretty sure Venus and Serena both did it like 4 times. So it was just like interview after interview of all of these interviewers be like, how does it feel to be the best in your sport? And like, you mean the best man in my sport because women are better. And it was just, but that's what we get. Like, there was another one I found. It was like, if you Google who has the most international goals in football, the name that comes up is Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
The actual answer is a female soccer player. I don't even remember her name. That's how bad it is. It's something Sinclair. I feel bad. I need to look this up. But it's somebody that nobody talks about, and nobody gives her the accolades she deserves because a man gets the credit.
It's not taken seriously,
because nobody likes women's football, so who cares? We only care about the male football players. So, so it's just, I don't know, it's a huge like topic to unpack, and there's so much that goes into it, and it's not just games, but games is like our side of it, I guess.
It's one thing we can kind of talk about our own experiences of what we've gone through.
And I think I almost feel like the best place to start is that YouTube comment that I was talking to you about.
Okay.
So we got this comment on. Do you have it up, like in handy? Because I don't.
I do, I believe.
So we put out a trailer. For anybody who doesn't know, we just put out live a demo version of our game, SunnySide. Go check it out. And in the trailer was made for the WLG event. So in the trailer that I wrote the voiceover for, it says with an all-female writing and 2D art team. And then it goes on to explain, like, what the women in the team contributed to, because that was the focus of the event. And that sentence has pissed off people.
Yeah, just that. And noting. Just
that one sentence of us saying that we have an all-female 2D art team and writing team. And it's like, why does that make you mad? Is it the fact that we pointed it out?
I think so. See, like, again, if I can provide an outsider perspective, maybe, I guess it suddenly makes people feel a bit more defensive, like put their defenses up, because they're like, and this is like from what I've seen on Twitter and whatnot, that like, oh, they're trying to sell me an agenda, so to speak. They immediately think that you're trying to, I don't know, change them. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it, because it's kind of hard for me too. But I guess it's just the fact that they're like, okay, well, the game isn't important. It's just important that they have a female team. It's not important what they're making, but their team is important to them.
Here's the funny thing is that from our perspective, speaking to men out there who feel this way, we're not talking to you when we say those things.
Yeah.
We're talking to other women.
Yeah.
Who might want to buy the game, so that when they hear that, they go, oh, I see I can relate to that, or I want to experience that, or I want to see what stories from women are about, or, I want to support, like, that's who we're talking to. We're not saying, hey, like, eat this agenda. We're saying, hey, women, this is a safe space. Come and enjoy it.
Which is why I guess you had to then reply to that comment and explain to them.
Which I did, yeah.
And I think you handled it beautifully, because there's always the fact that, and I was saying this before we started the podcast, but I do want to give you props for the fact that our mission is to make sure that whenever we support a group of people, a support of minorities, whatever it might be, we want to make sure that we do it in a way that, one, doesn't come across as pandering, and two, doesn't necessarily exclude other groups of people. You don't need to exclude other groups of people to give inclusivity.
To include, yeah.
Like, I'm Middle Eastern. If you want to say, oh, we're cool with Middle Eastern playing the game, at the same time, you don't have to say, oh, but Americans, you're not allowed to play the game. You don't have to do that. And I've seen that happen quite often, that especially bigger groups of people. And I'm going to say this as a Middle Eastern. I feel like sometimes white people get excluded from things because there's this perspective that white people can't coexist with racial minorities and enjoy the same thing at the same time. That's something I've seen. That's something I've felt. That, like, oh, I feel very welcome to this. Thank you. I am Middle Eastern. Thank you so much for including me. But wait, why are you telling off that white person that was going to also enjoy the game with me? So I feel like you don't need to exclude other groups to
I feel like
give inclusivity.
The whole point of inclusivity is everybody. And it's like there's this weird mentality that by saying we're including this group, it's excluding something else. But inclusivity is always all inclusivity. And the point for me is to get the majority to sit down with the minority and for them to see both perspectives. If one of those perspectives, and this is not going to be a popular opinion, and people are not going to like me saying this, but I believe it because of how I grew up. I grew up in the red dot in a blue state. And for anybody who doesn't know what that means, I grew up in a very, very conservative area inside a very, very large liberal area. So I grew up around it being popular to hate things. And I know what that looks like, and I understand that perspective because it's how I was raised. So everybody grows up with a group of people that you hate. Whether you're conservative or you're a liberal or you're a religious person or not religious, whatever it is, there's always something that's that guy's fault. Well, who that guy is doesn't matter. It's always going to be somebody. In a lot of places, that guy's fault is the white people, or that guy's fault is the white men, or that guy's fault is whatever. And I think the majority is not used to hearing that because it's suppressed, because you don't say it out loud because you can get killed. And we're now in a time where people feel a little bit more confident in being able to say that out loud. So it's kind of a new thing for the majority to be like, I don't like this feeling. This is weird. But when you've already been on the receiving end of it. But anyway, what I wanted to say really was, I understand the perspective of the majority because I was part of it for a while. And I understand
majority being the group that wants to find something to hate.
Pretty much, yeah. And I think, honestly, if you really stop and think about it, I think everybody can relate to that. I don't care who you are.
Well, here's the thing.
Where you're from.
I grew up in Iran.
You can relate to that.
Right? Growing up in Iran, the government is telling you, and this is something you guys have probably seen in TV, especially if you're in America. Sadly, the thing that you see is like death to America, down to America, same thing to Israel. And they are constantly telling you that those are the bad guys. But what's funny is that at least in Iran, they put this is a bit of a tangent, but it's funny. I think you guys should know. I think you Westerners should know this. In our university, in one of our universities in Iran, they painted the floor with the American flag, which is kind of weird.
So you walk on it.
There were clips of it that got shared all over internet, and I was sharing it myself too because it was so funny. Students specifically tried very hard to not step on it, and everybody were going around it to not step on it. And I saw so many Iranians share it online. They're like, this is not what we're trying to do. This you might see the government's trying to sell that this is the notion, but no, we don't hate you, we don't hate American people. It's not just but just to kind of bring it back to it's so easy to fall into because that's just
where
constantly
I grew
what
up,
you've been repeated.
Where I grew up, and if you are living there now or if you grew up there, this is a reality, and I'm sorry if you don't think it's true, but it's true. The people that you hate if you live in Southern California is Mexicans and illegals. That's what we blame everything on. It's their fault. The job economy, everything, prices or crime rates or whatever you want to blame something on, they're the ones who get blamed because that's the easiest group to blame. If you live in the South, frankly, a lot of the time, it's going to be black people or white people, depending on what side of the fence you live. If you live in Korea, it's the Japanese. If you live in Japan, it's the Chinese. If you there's always a group that people are going to hate.
In Iran, it's it goes thousands of years in the past, and it's sadly Arabic people as well as people from Afghanistan, because there's a majority of people in Iran sadly see them as inferior. I guess it's kind of a similar thing with United States and Mexico. It's a similar thing.
It's a huge part of it.
Afghanistan, yeah.
Makes me wonder, who does Canada hate?
That's a good point. If you're Canadian, let us know.
If you're Canadian, let us know. Who does Canada hate?
We do have a Canadian friend. We should probably ask him.
We should. But the thing is, it's not. That doesn't mean that that's how people always feel.
Canadian.
It means, unless you're French Canadian, in which
then
case
you hate the other.
You probably hate the other Canadians. Yeah, but there's always going to be a group, and I think for men who aren't around women a lot, it ends up being women. We're the source of all the troubles. We won't go out with you, we won't talk to you, we won't give you our time, and if the one thing that you really want that you can't get is sex, and we're the only ones who can give it to you and won't give it to you, you're gonna start hating women.
Yeah, and I mean, especially if you grow up in a religious area,
God,
and I'm not talking about. Yeah, I don't know if it's the same in Christianity or not. But,
oh my God, yes.
But women are always the source of evil, right?
Yes.
It's like it's never the man's fault for something happening. It's the women that tricked you into doing that.
Yes.
And it gets even worse if you grew up in a religious place. Which, was me.
I don't know how y'all's religious teachings in Iran.
Let me tell you something. I am so scared of online backlash that I don't think I will ever speak about Islam.
That's fair.
Openly.
That's fair.
I grew up. I am a Muslim. I grew up in a very Muslim country, and I grew up with Muslim teachings. But I never speak about anything online because people get pitchforks out immediately. But I can just tell you, it's just as bad, if not worse, with how women are portrayed.
What I was gonna reference is I don't know what the creation myth is for the origin, but I know with Christianity it's Adam and Eve.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing, yeah. So women are the source of all evil.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's exactly the same story. Yeah, in Islam.
Yeah, it's the same story, and there's going to be history of women who were oppressed pretty much all over the world. Literally everywhere. It's happening right now in Korea. It's happening in the US. It's happening in Iran. It's happening. Women who were kind of starting to stand up and say, this is dumb. Can we please stop?
There's something funny. So if you're Arabic, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But from what I know, the name for Eve in Arabic, which is Hawa, is the same word for lust, actually.
Amazing.
So it's like Adam and Hawa, Adam or Hawa, or Adam and Hawa, they would say, which is kind of the same word for lust. So yes, it's just not very good.
So I go back to this comment that we were talking about.
Yeah, let's bring it back
YouTube.
to the comment. Yeah.
Can you read it? Unless you don't want those words coming out of your mouth, in which case I will read it.
You read it. You go for it.
Okay. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
Hold on, I can drop you a screenshot if you prefer.
Yeah, give me a screenshot. That'll make it a little bit easier.
There you go.
Okay, so put this in front of my face. Okay, so I'm not gonna call this person out because I disagree with you fundamentally, but I also don't want to bring any hate on you. So don't go hate on this person. Some people just don't view the world in the most rounded way. So what they said was, well, the beginning of it, they said you're free to express your views, and critical thinking and conversation is what got the human race to this point, which I totally agree with, which is why we're having this conversation. So they said video games, PC games in particular, are not the correct forum for these kinds of views, referencing the fact that we said that we have an all-female writing and 2D art team. The huge number of people you believe have the same views are not that many, especially in PC games. So the people that would have the same views as us, which I guess would be liberal ideas, what they're saying don't exist in video games, especially not PC games. So liberals don't play PC games is what I'm hearing. Mm-hmm. You're making games for people that will never buy or play your game because they're not here. They're not in this industry. So nobody with an open mind or a non-conservative, male-oriented view on the world exists in the gaming space, is what this person is saying.
Pretty much.
Use your views and talents in a different forum where it's more likely that you'll be heard and agreed with. Don't do it with gamers that warn you that it won't work and then cry bigot afterwards. And I'm not going to read the rest of it because it's unhinged. But the idea that if you have an unpopular opinion, you should only speak it around people who will agree with you.
Oh, yeah.
That mentality blows my mind.
Well, doesn't that go against critical thinking? Because of the fact that...
Yes.
Then they're pretty much suggesting you create an echo chamber where you don't hear anything negative. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I don't... It's a bit of a contradiction in there. A bit of an oxymoron.
And what they're basically saying is, you're not welcome here, go away. Mm-hmm. And my question is... Why
is it somewhat true?
Well, about something like art, which video games are art. You can't convince me otherwise. Video games are art. With something like art, why would you ever think that art is exclusive to any one group ever?
Yeah.
Like, I can't fathom that idea.
Yeah, and I mean, we kind of started with it, but the discussion kind of started when we were talking before we started recording, was that where can we find parallels in other art forms such as movies, which then it also went into other groups such as sports, which you just talked about. Why is it that we see this notion that this art or this thing belongs to this group, and only this group as well? Especially like PC games, I feel like the whole notion that PC games are inherently more geared towards men is just so outdated. There was definitely a period of time where there were more male PC players, that's for sure. But one, it never was the fact that you as a woman shouldn't...
I'm actually going to disagree, because here's the thing. The games that men tend to play are with other men.
Yeah.
It's a social thing.
I guess.
Call of Duty, FIFA. It's something you have to play with a buddy, right? The games that women play, we often play alone. So you were telling me earlier that, like, in Iran growing up, FIFA was a boys' game and Sims was a girls' game.
Yeah. And if you try to break out of that mold, they would...
But here's the thing. For every FIFA player, there's Sims players. That doesn't make us not video gamers. No. It just makes us not FIFA players.
Not FIFA
so
players,
the idea that just because you don't see women playing online games, well, they must not play games, period, is crazy.
It is crazy.
Because there was a whole movement in the 90s of video games that were geared towards little girls. Now, do I agree with that? No. I played everything, you know, but... Did I also play Sims? Yeah. Did I also play GoldenEye? Yes. Like, did it really, you know, so just the idea that, oh, well, we can't see them in online games, so it's not a thing. I have a news for all the dude bros out there. We're playing online games. That quiet dude who never says anything and just is kind of average and pops in, plays his game and leaves and doesn't really talk, guarantee you that's a girl.
Yeah. You know what's funny? We don't want to talk. There's one online game that I've been playing for years and I still play, sadly. It's Overwatch. Overwatch has a massive number of female players. Like a crazy number of it. And actually,
no offense to the Overwatch players, and I'm not saying that this is a bad thing, but a lot of lesbian players, honestly. Because the female art is so good. Every time I talk to a female Overwatch player, it's always a girl who's like into the girls, and I think that's hilarious and awesome.
That is so awesome because
there are no attractive men in that game.
There's a very good game to look at for this. Baldur's Gate is a very good example, but so is Final Fantasy, the newest one. But Baldur's Gate is a much better one that I want to go back to. So Lauren, my partner, she's always saying it's like the dream game if you're a bisexual, because men and women, they're all so pretty and it's such a good time for everyone involved. And it's because if you go back and have a look at the team that Larian had, they were so incredibly diverse in terms of gender, and I kind of draw parallels back to our own game. All of the men in SunnySide that are so popular are made by women, because you guys know what you want.
We know.
So you do a good job.
And all the women are the women that we wish we looked like.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. But to go back to the comments, I mean, I also wanted to say that when I was talking about if you're a dude, you have to like FIFA, and if you like Sims, then they call you a girl and stuff. Yeah, that's how it was growing up in Iran. And I wasn't very much into FIFA. I am not. I don't like football really at all, which is funny. You like football. You love football.
I do. Yeah,
and
I watch it
hate
every
football.
week.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I love it. I coached it for years. I coached young girls here
so
soccer.
if you're still in the mindset that football's for men, if you're a man, you need to play FIFA, and if you're a woman, you need to get on, touch grass, man.
I have a great example of why that's not true.
That is just so not true. You know what?
Actually, the point that I really wanted to make is somebody in those comments asked a question, not asked a question, but they said they highlighted that statement of, you know, with an all female writing and 2D art team, and then the comment was, "This is not a selling point."
Oh yeah, I remember.
And I actually want to refute that argument, and I'll tell you why. Because from their perspective, we're saying buy this game because women made it, because you should support women. That's their perspective. The actual reason that I would say that's a selling point is because women bring a lot to the table in terms of writing, like what we were just talking about. By saying it's an all-female writing and 2D art team, that means that the characters are going to be complicated, they're going to be interesting, they're going to be compelling, and they're going to be different from what you see elsewhere. You've said many times that you never would have considered putting older people as romance options in the game.
I would have not, no, yeah.
But what women bring to the table is the fact that we think with that type of diversity a little bit more naturally than I think men do. We're going to bring interesting, complicated male characters that women will want to romance, But we can also do the same thing for female characters that men will want to romance. So in having women who are writing and creating the characters, we're bringing that level of diversity and empathy that is a uniquely female trait. Not that men can't do it too, but we're good at it. Mm-hmm. And that's why that's a selling point. So it's kind of like if you go out into the world with this, everybody is trying to sell me something and everybody is trying to change my mind and everybody is trying. If you go out there with that mentality, you're going to see that in everything.
It kind of reminds me of the class we had back in school in Iran, where they would tell you about
this is going to be good.
Well, they would tell you about the Masons, the Illuminati, and they would tell you that, oh my god, do you see that triangle over there? Oh, that's a sign of the Illuminati. It actually got so bad that it got turned into a meme. But this is prior to the whole Illuminati meme became a thing. And they would teach us that, like, why... look at the signs everywhere.
That came from y'all?
Well, they showed us the dollar bill, and then they were like,
like as a serious thing in school?
Oh yeah, because they would say, you know, where they would go to, it would say that so the devil, Dajjal in Arabic, has a one eye on the forehead, and the pyramid with the eye on it is the sign of the devil, and that's why it's on the dollar bill, because it's part of the Illuminati and all that stuff.
And Westerners are evil.
And Westerners are evil. So there you go.
Interesting.
I kind of don't want to end on that note, but we are at time.
But it's an interesting. I mean, what I want to end it with is women, all minorities, but women, because it is Women's Month. We feel the need to speak out and point out any moment where we do feel oppressed. Because it happens, and if we don't say something, then it will always make it easier for us to be oppressed. And if you think that it's not happening, fundamentally, you're wrong. And we could write hours and hours of content of just stories from women, not even myself, of all the things that have been done to us in our lives to keep our voices down. We could do the same thing with any minority group. And we're getting to the point where the majority, and whatever you think the majority is, and whatever the majority is wherever you're at, is getting the feeling for the first time that they're losing control. Because minorities are feeling the power to speak out and speak up.
I'm really glad you mentioned the majority wherever you are, because it's very different wherever you're at.
It is. Yeah. It's very different wherever you're at. And I think that's something we always have to be conscious and aware of. But I think the one thing that we can say across almost all cultures, that all cultures have in common, is that men are the majority over women in terms of power. There are some exceptions in the world. But I think that's universally, we can all kind of relate to that. When you get down into race and you get down into other things, it definitely starts getting broken up. But from a woman to men, it's not that we hate you. And some women do hate men because they've had horrible experiences. But it's, what I want to say is, I want you to think back to that one woman in your life who ruined all women for you. Because it exists. I've seen it happen. I know it happens. There is a woman in every man's life that did something horrible to him. And every guy has a little bit of, women. Because whether it's a mom or a girlfriend or a sister or whoever.
I had a pretty evil stepmom.
There you go. And what I want all men to understand is the way that you feel about women because of that one person is how we feel about men because of that one person. Every woman has a story of a guy who hurt her physically, who oppressed her emotionally, who damaged her life in some way. And for us, that one man represents all men.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So have a little bit of empathy and see it from both sides, you know? And I think we don't ever from either side, and we have to. And so, you know, when we get comments like that one that we had on YouTube, I need to step into that space and go, okay, where's he coming from? Does he have a valid point in his own mind? And how can we relate to that? And how can we explain in a way that he'll understand and appreciate what's actually happening here? And that's what I did.
I kind of wanted to, just to kind of end it, I wanted to also share how it, like, what lesson I learned from how you replied to that comment, honestly. Because I was ready to delete that comment, I told you. And,
I'm glad you didn't.
But then I saw your reply on it, and I couldn't believe it, really. That, like, you could handle it this way too. Because I was about to delete the comment because it was just outright hate towards women, right? So the lesson I learned is that whenever you see a comment online, no matter how outrageous it might be, I guess there's always a potential to try to approach it from a perspective of trying to see their point of view and trying to explain to them why it's not right to do it. And I guess approach it with kindness is also another lesson that I learned, is that approach it with kindness, trying to see their point of view. And honestly, with the way they replied back to your comment, it almost seems like you convinced them that they were wrong, and I couldn't believe it. It was crazy. I was like, this is just an absolute deranged person. But wow, what? No, wait, what? So that was the lesson I learned from the comment, and I am glad that we're at a time that we can participate in events such as WLG, which celebrates the work that women do in the industry. And I just wanted to also give a shout out to WLG for supporting us so much.
It's a good event.
This past weekend, it was great. Thank you for everything that you did for our studio, for all the other indie games that were also participating in the event. So I just wanted to say, go check it out. There's a very good article.
We'll link that, right?
GameSpot. Yeah, we can.
Yeah,
link it
we'll
down
link
here.
the GameSpot article because it's great. They did a breakdown of all the games that were in it, and it was a great showcase. I was really impressed.
We're going to have an extended version of this where we just kind of continue right after we say goodbye to you, where we talk for another 20-25 minutes about really pretty much continuing our discussion. So if you like to
expand upon,
if you like to listen to the extended version or extended versions of all of our previous episodes of the podcast, you can support us on Patreon down below. We really appreciate it. All of the money goes to our studio and all the work that we do on all of our games. Currently it's just SunnySide, but we have more that we're planning to do in the future. And I just wanted to quickly say, if you downloaded the demo of SunnySide, we really hope you enjoyed it, and we really appreciate your time as well. We could come at it from an angle and say, no, we gave you a free game with so much content in it to just play, but I want to approach it from a different angle, that thank you for spending your time. Because even though it's free, you're still downloading it, sitting down and spending your time off playing the game. So thank you for doing that, and we really hope you enjoyed the time. And if you did, please tell us. It really helps. We love it. There's one thing that pushes us the most forward, and it's just the feedback from community. Even if it's
we love hype.
Critical.
We're hype driven.
Yeah, we are absolutely
hype driven.
So thank you for that. Follow us on Patreon. Join our Discord below as well. And we'll see you in the next episode where we talk about more of our tips and tricks on how to do indie.
How to do indie. I like that. Bye, everybody.